Hi, my name is Paul Grogan and welcome to the How to Play video for Solar Storm, designed by Aidan Lowther and published by Dranda Games in 2020. In Solar Storm, you and up to 3 other players are crew members aboard a spacecraft on a collision course with the Sun. Your energy core has been knocked out by a solar storm, leaving you with limited power, and your ship is taking an increasing amount of damage as it drifts dangerously close to the Sun. You must direct the remaining power to the energy core, stop the ship from blowing up, restart the engines and escape to safety. Succeed and you all live. Fail and you'll perish in the scorching abyss. These are the setup rules for a 2 to 4 player game. I'll cover the solo rules in a later chapter. From the 9 room cards, find the energy core and place it in the middle of the play area. Shuffle the remaining room cards and place them at random around the energy core like this. On each of the surrounding rooms, place a repair cube on each space of the repair tracker. Each player chooses a colour, taking the reference card of that colour and the matching meeple which is placed on the energy core. Take the cards and separate out the universal cards. Choose which difficulty level you wish to play on and then add a number of universal cards into the resource deck based on this difficulty. I'm going to be setting up a medium difficulty game, so 6 cards are added in. Return any leftover universal cards to the box. Shuffle the resource deck thoroughly and place it face down nearby. Each player takes cards from the resource deck based on the number of players in the game and places the cards in front of them. For 4 players, take 2 cards each. For 3 players, take 3 cards each. And for 2 players, take 4 cards each. Note that the cards each player has are visible to all players. This is a fully cooperative game. Reveal the top 2 cards of the resource deck and place them next to the deck. Take the damage cards and separate them into 3 stacks based on how many rooms are damaged by the card, 1, 2 or 3. Shuffle each stack separately and then make a damage deck with the 3 damage cards on the bottom, then the 2 damage ones in the middle, and then the 1 damage ones on top. Draw the bottom 2 cards from the deck and reveal them. For each room listed, damage the rooms by removing the topmost repair cube from the repair tracker, placing the cubes to the right of the damage deck. It is possible for the same room to be damaged twice at this time, if both cards list the same room. In this case, 1 cube is removed for each damage card. Place the damage cards on the discard pile. Take the hull breach card and place it on the bottom of the deck. Create a general supply of all of the tokens in the game within reach of the players, along with the die and the protection cards. The player who was last burnt by the sun becomes the first player. And now you're ready to start the game. Beginning with the first player and going clockwise around the table, players take turns. On your turn, you can perform up to 3 actions with which you can move around the ship, scavenge for resources, repair the room that you are in, activate a room to use its unique ability, or divert power from the room to the energy core, which you can only do if the room that you are in is fully repaired. At the end of your turn, the top card from the damage deck is revealed, which damages the rooms listed. To win the game, you must divert power from all of the 8 rooms to the energy core and then activate it, restoring power to the engines. You lose the game if a room is ever about to take damage and there are no repair cubes left on the card. This destroys the room and the ship. You can also lose if the resource deck is ever empty. Your turn consists of 3 phases which you perform in order. In phase 1, you can perform up to 3 actions from the ones listed on your reference card. You can perform each action more than once, and you can do the actions in any order. The first action I'm going to explain is move, which is simply you move your figure to an orthogonally adjacent room. You cannot move diagonally. Next up is the scavenge action. When you do this, you roll the die. On a 1 to 2, you find nothing of any use. On a 3 to 5, you gain 1 resource, and can either take one of the face-up resources or the top card of the deck. If you take a face-up card, replace it with a new card from the deck. If you roll a 6, you've struck it lucky, and you get to take 2 cards. Each card you take can either be one of the face-up cards or one from the top of the deck. The next action to explain is repair, which is what your resources are for. To repair a room that you are in, you must discard a card that matches an exposed space on the repair tracker, and then you place one of the repair cubes on that space. You can perform multiple repairs on your turn, but each one costs 1 action and a matching resource. Each room has an ability printed on it. If you are in a room that is fully repaired, you can activate that ability for 1 action. All of the rooms have unique powerful abilities. I won't cover the details of the rooms in this video, but they are all fully explained in the back of the rulebook. Note that the ability of the Medical Bay version 1 actually happens automatically if you are there at the start of your turn and the Medical Bay is fully repaired. It does not cost you an action to use. To divert power from a room to the energy core requires you to be in the room and spend one action. The room must be fully repaired and you must then discard all of the resource cards as shown in the top left of the room card. When you do this, place a divert power token on the room. You're now one step closer to escaping the solar storm. And remember that you need to divert power from all of the rooms before restarting the energy core to win the game. The room can still be damaged in the future, but the divert power token remains. Also, the room is now easier to repair. When repairing a damaged room that has had its power diverted, discarding a card that matches any of the visible resources on the repair tracker will repair all damage to that room. Sometimes another player might have a resource that you need, or vice versa, and this is where the share resource action comes in handy. You can give a card to a player in the same room as you at the cost of one action. Or, also for one action, you can take a card from another player in the same room, with their permission of course. For example, if you wanted to swap these two cards between these two players, you'd need to spend one action to take this card and another action to give this card. If you take fewer than 3 actions on your turn, take an action token for each action that you do not take. These tokens may be returned back to the supply on any of your future turns to take an extra action for each token used. For example, if you have 2 of these tokens, you can take up to 5 actions on your turn. The action tokens are limited to those in the supply, so if there are no tokens left in the supply, you cannot gain an action token. After you have taken all of your actions, you proceed to Phase 2. During this phase, you must do one of the following 2 things. Take one of the face-up resource cards and place it in front of you, replacing it with a card from the top of the deck. Or draw 2 cards from the top of the resource deck and place them in front of you. Remember that if the resource deck ever runs out, all players immediately lose the game, but you must perform one of the 2 options. If at this point you now have more than 6 cards, you must discard any excess so that you have only 6 remaining. In this phase, you reveal the top card of the damage deck and damage the rooms shown on the card in the same way as you did during setup. You remove the topmost repair cube from the repair track. If a room would be damaged and there are no cubes left to be removed, the room is destroyed and the ship explodes. This causes you to lose the game. The hull breach card is the last card in the damage deck. When this becomes visible, from the next turn onwards, instead of drawing a damage card in phase 3, you roll the dice. On a 1 to 2, you must discard the top card of the resource deck. On a 3 to 4, you must discard 2 resources. And on a 5 to 6, you must discard 3 resources. So as the game continues, no more damage will be done to the ship, but remember that if the resource deck ever runs out, you will lose the game. If the ship hasn't exploded yet, and you still have resources in the resource deck, play proceeds to the next player. In the solo game of Solar Storm, you play as a communications officer and must direct 3 members of the crew as well as managing their resources. Each crew member is represented by a meeple and takes a turn as in a normal 3-player game, with the following exceptions. The crew don't have their own resources, you have them all, and you start the game with 4 of them taken from the resource deck. Choose 3 meeples and put them on the energy core. Take the reference cards for those 3 player colours and use the 4th meeple to indicate which crew member is currently taking a turn. Once that crew member has finished their turn, move the 4th meeple onto the next card. When it's a crew member's turn, play out the 3 phases of the turn as normal. The resource cards you have are for all of the crew, and your limit is 6 cards as normal. The share resources action is slightly different. When you take that action, you may exchange cards with the face-up resources. If a crew member uses fewer than 3 actions, place the action token on the reference card of that crew member, and only that crew member may use that token on a future turn. Any protection cards gained from the armory are placed with the reference card of the crew member they belong to. I hope you found this video useful in learning how to play Solar Storm. Please remember to subscribe, like and leave a comment on the video if you enjoyed it. And thank you very much to Dranda Games for sponsoring this video, along with all of my Patreon supporters that help fund the work I do. If you like the content that I create, please consider supporting me at patreon.com/gamingrules. Until next time, take care and thanks for watching. Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.